So fast forward to 1969, my father died, and I went home for the funeral, and my mother asked me if I would clean out his dresser drawers, and I did. And in the bottom dresser drawer, there was a stack of old newspapers. And he did what a lot of people do. They put away memorable events in their life. So today people put away Kennedy's assassination, they put away the Challenger disaster, they put away the turning of 1999 into the year 2000, 9/11 of course, these sort of things. And I couldn't throw them away. I just thought, gee, this is really neat. And I put them aside, took them back to Columbus, Ohio with me. There was an ad by Harry Knapp in Orange, New Jersey. It said, send $1 for a list of historical newspapers for sale. And I had just gotten my father's papers, and I said, gee, I wonder what these things are worth. So I sent away $1, and I got a mimeographed list of Harry Knapp's papers that he had for sale. That was about that thick. And I started reading through it, and I was blown away. He was selling War of 1812 newspapers for $2 a piece. And I said to myself, this must be a misprint. He must mean $200. I'm going to play along. I'll send him $20 and get 10 of them. Well, it was $2 a piece. I got my 10 papers, and I was hooked. So I called Eric Newton up, and I introduced myself. I said, I see that you were looking for a January 15th, 1928 issue of the New York Daily News. I know what you're looking for. I said, but who are you and what is the NEWSEUM? And he spent about 20 minutes telling me what it was. And I said to him the saying that he uses a lot in his lectures, and he said he'll never forget. I said to him, Eric, you don't know me, but you need me. He said, why do I need you? I said, come to my house and I'll show you why you need me. And then in the year 2000, they were looking to buy a property in Washington, D.C., which is where they had wanted to be all along. And they called me up and they said, we'd like to buy your collection. And I said, well, it's not for sale. And then they called me back a week later and said, we really would like to buy your collection. And I said, it's not for sale. And they kept calling and they kept calling. And then finally, they made an offer that I couldn't refuse. They expanded the News History Gallery because in their surveys, when they were set up in Roslyn, Virginia, they found that the most popular place in the entire museum was the News History Gallery. They didn't think it would be. They thought it was going to be the bells and whistles and the big flat screen TVs and all that business, but it wasn't. It was heads and shoulders the News History Gallery where people could see how the news was reported in newspapers and their predecessors over the past 6 centuries or so. And so they bought 40,000 items from my collection. That left me with 960,000 that I still had. I swore I would never try to recreate the collection that I had earlier, but that turned out to be a fool's errand because I just, once you know where the stuff is, you know where it is.
Where is the stuff?
If I tell you, I have to kill you. The bottom line is that after a while, people call you and they say, I've heard of you. I have so-and-so. Like for right now, a lot of people whose calls I'm getting are people who are my age, who are saying, I bought from you 30 years ago and now I'm ready to sell my collection. Are you interested in buying it back? Or they'll say, I put together a collection of old newspapers over the past 50 years and I'm ready to get rid of it. Are you interested in buying it? That's where I get most of my stuff today. People, in order to buy what you want at a certain level, you have to buy what you don't want. So I ended up buying tractor trailers full, historical societies full. I wrote in the beginning, 35, 40 years ago, I wrote letters to every historical society in the country. And you get about a 1% return in terms of the number of people who call you back, but they do call you back occasionally. And at this point in time, I don't do that anymore. I just wait for people to call me up, and the calls come every week. Well, we call that the Holy Grail in collecting. I don't have the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is public occurrences from 1690, but only one of them exists. The only other remnant from that is that there was an edict, a broadside that was printed the next day that was passed around Boston saying that the public occurrences had to be suppressed, and that little broadside notice is in the hands of the American Antiquarian Society now up in Worcester, Massachusetts, but they do not have the original newspaper. What really creates value are things that people didn't put away. And the most notable example of that in the 20th century is the Washington Post, the day after the break-in at the Watergate happened. It was on page 3. It was a nondescript article. Nobody put it away because nobody knew what it meant. I've been looking for that paper for the past 50 years. I still haven't seen it. You know, there's an old expression in collecting books and newspapers, and that is, you know, most people believe that to do well in business, you have to go by the adage, the early bird catches the worm. But in book collecting and in newspaper collecting, it's the person who knows what a worm looks like. And that's true, because sometimes what you think you're looking for doesn't look anything like what you think it looks like.